Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news discussion and, of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works in the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining me is Evgeni.
And I was gonna sing you a song.
Uh-huh.
But I figured because it's a slow song, you were going to interrupt me, and the effect was gonna be lost.
That's definitely true. And lastly, joining me is Alyx.
Hello, I'm FeatherWriter.
And also starring is Dalish's Meows, your cat.
She's got what we call the kitty crazies at the moment.
Is that
means
what
she
that?
just
I don't think that's a
runs
medical term or
It is
veterinary term.
definitely, it's extremely contagious. She just runs at top speed through the apartment for no reason with her tail super fluffed, and she's licking my heel right now. What?
See, Alyx, the best thing about you it's a good thing
Say
she's
hello.
cute. Meow.
Say hello.
Oh,
All right.
welcome to
No.
Catcast.
Welcome to Catcast.
Shardcat.
Shardcat.
So being in school, I logged up like a lot of Shardcast debt, and now I would just have to be on all of them for a while to make up for lost time, apparently.
Oh yeah, we'll just do them now.
Just be
We'll just
lots of feather
yeah.
for a while.
So last time, guys, we were ambitious with how many songs we could get through in the listener songs. We got through 2 songs technically.
That's true. One had one
Unfortunately,
stand.
our ambition was not enough to transform us into scholars,
No.
and,
And unfortunately,
so,
Odium splintered our ambition, and it didn't work out so well.
Yes.
no, that's where you wanted to go with that.
I
Our
didn't know that's
innocence
where I
was
wanted
still
to go.
lost, however.
Yes. So we are gonna do more of the Words of Radiance epigraphs of the listener songs. We finished the Song of Listing, which did have some interesting stuff, but I will say the most interesting stuff is definitely in this one.
Mhm.
And so
So we are very likely going to take fewer than 4 episodes to finish this.
no, we're gonna finish
No,
it in this episode.
no,
Look,
it's definitely going to be 10.
I promise, listeners, we are not trying to intentionally pad things. When we're recording WoB episodes, we could definitely buff these out to make all WoB episodes 2 episodes instead, and say like all the WoBs. But no, we try and get the primo stuff. It's just you guys like talking, and I like talking, obviously.
Also, that's a fun like stealth pun that we're talking about the listener songs, and listeners, please understand that we're
the listeners are
there
all
there
basically
are
dead,
listeners
actually.
talking about listeners.
No, they are not.
Most of them are.
They're still around.
Most of them are.
And some of them are our
Listeners, if
who
most
listen
of
to
you
this
are dead,
podcast.
let us know.
If you have Stormlight 4 spoilers, put below in the comments. All right, let's talk about the Song of Histories. Ian, take us
All
in.
right.
Oh, this one's so good.
So this is from the 12th stanza of the Song of Histories.
Oh, let me get into display mode. Okay, great, cool. Great.
True.
Cool.
Change the
Woo!
scene.
Woo! That was close. It's a close one.
'Tis said it was warm in the land far away when Voidbringers entered our songs. We brought them home to stay, and then those homes became their own. It happened gradually. In years ahead, 'twill still be said 'tis how it has to be.
We've talked about this.
We have
in
talked about this
a episode.
many
Mhm.
times. Oh, man. So, well, we brought the Voidbringer, the humans. This is talking about the humans.
Yep.
Not the fused. Definitely not the fused here. This is definitely talking about primo human Voidbringer action here.
The OG
Yes.
VBs.
Yeah.
Would not be surprised if this one was also written in, like, we talked about possibly there being different eras between the Song of Listing and the Song of Revision that we talked about last
Yep.
time. I feel like this is probably a first round,
Oh, yeah.
early days kind of song.
I think
I-
Revision might be the only newer one. I think
True.
all these other ones are old songs.
That's
Yeah.
what I would say, yeah.
And, like, you can hear, like, the old Englishy feeling from
Mhm.
this. It's like, and the years had
Archaicness.
the archaicness. Yes.
Yeah.
Like that last line here, "'Twill still be said." It's like if someone said that to you day to day, you'd punch them in the face.
I would not. I would love them for being able to use that.
That's very.
If they used it correctly, I would love them.
Yeah,
for it.
but if like someone was just like, I'm being snooty, and saying things like that, it's just like, just go away.
So I do like this first line, because if we think the land far away was from where the Isla Stelle was, that
Cute.
is the opposite side of Roshar, so it was definitely far away,
Mhm.
and it's in the north, so it's warm there.
See, I always thought, yeah, I guess it kind of has to be Shinovar. I guess it warm in the land far away. It just makes me think of Ashen because it's on fire and so
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
I
assumed.
But you're right. It's talking about the singers seeing the humans first arrive. And they wouldn't have been on Ashen and know about what happened there. And then those homes became their own. It happened gradually. Which, if it happened gradually, how did they go from the heralds coming from Ashen to all the stuff happening in the first desolation in a lifetime? It happened gradually? Yeah, right. Song of History.
Well, I think the conflict started early, but for humans to come to dominate all of Roshar was
Yeah, okay, that's true.
gradual.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
We've talked about how it could have been, Desolation 1, humans take over, the 10% like of westernmost Roshar, and then second Desolation they take over another 10% or whatever.
I think that was the theory you had, but that's definitely a
but we
thing you've talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but
No, you don't have to, but it was
yeah,
discussed.
it was discussed. That is a true statement.
Oh man.
I mean, given Oathbringer, this one just makes a lot of sense, and it's just like, yeah,
Seems straightforward.
that's what happened. Like
This
how
was
we,
a very good, subtle humans are Voidbringers
Yes.
foreshadowing.
Yes.
Nicely done, Brandon.
yeah, because like you can kind of see how it could have referred to something like the Fused almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you read a little bit into Oathbringer and you're like, okay, that's what these gods are, and then you read this back, it's like, yeah, maybe we did bring them back, but it's like, nope, it's definitely talking about the Voidbringers.
Those terrible, terrible humans.
Yep.
Let's talk about smoke form.
And skipping just over 100 stanzas to stanza 127. Please give us the rest of these stanzas. I would love to know what is going on there.
Honestly.
Like, that would be so cool.
All right. Smoke form for hiding and slipping between men. A form of power, like human surges. Bring it round again. Though crafted by gods, it was by unmade hand. Leaves its force to be but one a foe or friend. And before we talk about this,
yeah, let's. There is one in the Song of Secrets which talks presumably about the forms of power.
So this one says it's the 51st stanza in the Song of Secrets, which is a good ways in from the ones that we have.
Yes.
But it says smoke form for hiding and slipping between men, a form of power like surges of Spren. Do we dare to wear this form again? It spies. Crafted of gods, this form we fear. By unmade touch, its curse to bear. Formed from shadow, and death is near. It lies.
Wow.
So that's a very interesting form.
Yes.
Clearly
Let's,
made of its relation to unmade. For sure. It's mentioned twice.
Yeah.
And I would say, again, we have the same kind of poetic repetition.
Yes.
In terms of these two stanzas in different songs are extremely similarly structurally.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's
structurally. The first line is almost exactly the same, and then it also talks about the gods and the unmade later on.
And it's like a form of power, like surges of Spren or like human surges. So
yeah, it talks about the surges.
Surges of Spren versus human surges. Interesting.
I don't know if this one is necessarily a revision, because I think we would also maybe guess that the Song of Secrets
No.
is pretty old.
Yeah.
But perhaps there's an idea of like allusion to other songs when you're talking about the same thing, that you should like use a parallel structure, because they do seem to
Maybe.
have like a different kind of rhythm and rhyme scheme because they're
could have
coming
been
out of different songs.
made by a different person. Like, hey, yeah, this is the historian person in the Last Legion, and they're making that song, right? And versus like,
So I wonder almost if there's something like when you talk about a form, like when you talk about smoke form, you should list these couple things because that's what smoke form is associated with when you put it in a song.
And these songs were written so people would remember. So it's like that repetition
Yeah.
would make both songs easier to remember because it's
you're right.
fewer different.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is also the idea that different songs serve different purposes.
Mhm.
And so if you are writing, well, not writing, but composing the Song of Histories or singing the Song of Histories or you're listening to the Song of Histories, the goal of the content of the song is to convey, I would imagine, a more objective historical information.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting to think about because there's really not that much historical information in the history one.
Not a lot. But when you go to something like the Song of Secrets,
Yeah.
I would imagine its idea is to give you like deeper meanings and hidden messages
What
and
it
things
does.
like that. Yeah, where one of them talks about. So the Song of History says, for example, that I can stall until I can find the exact line. Though crafted of gods, it was by unmade hand, which is a very like factual. The Fuse
I guess that's
crafted
true.
this, whatever that means.
Which is interesting of itself. Them crafting a form. Yeah,
we'll go back to this.
Yeah.
But you go to the Song of Secrets, and you now have this subjective, crafted of gods. This form we fear, by unmade touch, its curse to bear. It brings the author into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually have a theory. I think we may have these. We did histories first, but I think secrets might have come first. And I think what's happening here is, I bet at this point in whatever story is being told in the histories, we have someone in smoke form who's about to do something. And this is a way of saying like, hey, smoke form, this is what smoke form is. Remember, like in the Song of Secrets? And they do a quick little stanza that's much like the Song of Secrets. And I'm guessing that's actually what Bring It Round Again is about. Like, this is coming up in the story we're telling right now. We need to remember what smoke form is, so you will understand what this smoke form character in the history is about to do.
I like that.
But we don't get that stanza. We just get the one that's like the quick refresher on what smoke form is for the audience.
I do just want to say that the Histories one came first in the epigraphs. I don't think that has to have any meaning, but I just wanted to state that for the record.
It's true.
And it doesn't seem like Histories is the place, is a song to be explaining what all of the forms are, but I do like, hey, this is what this form does.
There's hundreds of them. It's like, hey, you forget this form that you haven't seen? All right, cool. All right, great. I'm with you. It's like Alamancy.
And that would make sense as like a storytelling device.
Yeah.
That
okay.
And they both mentioned it's like it was crafted by gods, but it's connected to the unmade in some way.
Yes.
Here's a thing that I thought of is that maybe the Spren that are used for night form required Shianat's enlightenment onto some other Spren. Maybe? I don't know.
This has made me think of the Midnight Mother.
Yeah.
For a long time. Because of
that's true. Because they are smoky.
The smokiness.
Yeah, you're totally right too. Yeah,
they
that's
do.
True.
The other thing is, when it says hiding and slipping between men, does it mean like, could you disguise yourself as human and walk amongst men? Because the Midnight Mother also does kind of shifting forms and imitations. possibly able to gift smoke forms with an ability to change appearance even.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's like a form of power like human surges,
Like
potentially
illusions.
like illumination.
Yeah.
We have seen a fused do something like that.
Yep.
Yep.
Um,
We
In the
totally
vault.
have.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
It does make sense.
But
It says it spies and then it lies, which is like, oh yeah, illusiony. I guess
That sounds a lot like Lightweavers,
it does.
TBH.
It.
Spies and
I
lies.
guess I always thought that smoke form would like turn you into smoke or something, but that doesn't make any sense.
or invisible.
Yeah.
What's
what?
the
Ian?
the essence? What is smoke and the essence
Midnight
for?
Essence.
But
No.
the
It's one of the
smoke,
10
it
essences.
is,
What's it associated with?
2. It's the second. It's smokestone and skybreakers
Oh,
Yeah,
and
it is.
opaque gases.
Interesting.
All
Okay.
those
of course.
things are.
That feels like it's significant
So-
somehow too, probably.
Yes, Ian?
So the fused do not require a Spren
Yes.
bond.
Yes.
Mhm.
What if smoke form is not like the others? What if this is specifically a fused form? Specifically the ones that have illumination.
Well, I don't think it can be because it says, "Do we dare to wear this form again?" Which would not
That's true.
apply to base singers.
Yeah,
Or
I was
wheels.
just though would they remember that?
These
That's the point.
I
of
feel
this.
like they would know the difference. Like the fuse
Yeah.
definitely make themselves feel apart from the rest of them. I
Yeah.
feel like they'd know the
Mhm.
difference between a form of power and a fused, which like they could basically never become.
I mean,
Yeah,
one of them is
I-
a god.
Yeah.
I
will
was
say-
just
Go ahead.
thinking it's like the line, though crafted of gods, not
Yes.
crafted
Mhm.
by gods.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. It almost sounds like the material it's made out of gods.
That is so
Like-
weird.
Like, because we see right below, it's by the unmade hand. The unmade are the ones who crafted this form, and they crafted it possibly out of gods. Is that what that of gods means?
God, it's weird.
Oh, that's so weird. Like
That's
maybe
very different.
Yeah.
But since we literally have the crafter identified, that feels like the only other interpretation left to crafted of
maybe
gods.
like of singers of like fused souls who went insane or something. Like unmade mate. Oh, here's a crazy theory. There's
I might have to.
you have one of the fused souls who's like totally insane and like not useful.
Mhm.
And Shianat like does some stuff and like makes that into like a weird Spren, and then you bond that and that's smoke form Spren. Which sounds really weird and convoluted for no reason, but I don't know. How could you use fused crafted of gods? What?
Yeah.
The other thing, it doesn't say crafted of our gods. This could be a form that's crafted
Oh,
from
no.
like human gods, like powerful Spren.
Corruptive Spren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you manage to
Yeah.
corrupt one of the human gods
The
and create a form out of that, that would be super sinister and would totally be in line with like forms of power is very dangerous and very
the
powerful.
singers consider Spren gods. Janat corrupts
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
creation Spren.
That's I really like that interpretation,
Yeah.
actually.
That is a
It's
very good point, and it
very
makes a lot of sense.
dangerous. Yeah.
There
Huh.
is a difference in this document. There are the gods. We'll talk about a form of gods. The gods leaving.
Probably worth like keeping in mind.
That is worth keeping in mind. Crafted of gods is just such a weird thing.
It's a wild
Yeah.
line if that's what it
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
means.
yeah.
That's-
No, I very much like the idea that this is the Spren required for this form is crafted of a Spren
Mhm.
that has been touched by an unmade.
Yeah, I feel like Shianat is like a shoe-in for some sort of corruption. But like I like the racial fear idea too, you know?
Mhm.
But like who knows what Baad and Mishram could even do, for example? Like there could be a lot of unmade involvement in
Yeah.
many things.
Maybe there are
Well-
different ways of corrupting Spren. So instead of a, let's say, a corrupted creation Spren, you have a midnight essence that you bond with.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's I
something
guess
crazy.
sure, yeah.
Oh man,
I want
that would make a lot of sense.
to talk in the Song of Histories one. The last line is leaves its force to be but one of foe or friend. Am I just being really dumb? That seems weird.
It's a very confusing line.
It is.
I'm so bad with poetry. Carry me, Alyx.
To go back to my
Use
theory,
that
it's
English
like,
degree.
hey, sometimes fused go crazy, so you don't know if they're going to help you or kill you.
Mhm.
But
It's
I don't know.
To be
So the-
but one, a foe or friend.
so the force is a force of foe or friend, is what it seems to be saying. But I don't know how it could be left to be that, or what that even means.
That means.
I don't know.
It's a very confusing line.
And there's the last line.
This,
Yeah, sorry. Continue.
this reminds me a little bit of like writing to text, where it's possible to make a sentence that is grammatical, but when you read it, you're like, okay, but I don't actually know what that means. And that's a little bit what it feels like. Like, okay, yes, that counts, but I know, Dalish. I know. Yeah.
They're just like, I
too am
agree.
outraged.
I agree.
But yeah, it almost feels like one of those like weird reflected lines that didn't turn out quite so well on the other end.
You
But maybe
know-
there's secret, deep, hidden meaning.
You know what else slips between men? Cats, because they're walking under you. You don't notice.
And then you trip.
Yeah.
Cats confirmed
Cursed
for
bear.
smoke form.
Formed from shadow. No, this one,
Yeah,
this
there you
this
go.
other line in Song of Secrets: formed from shadow, and death is near. It lies. Death is near almost reminds me of like death rattle-y stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say that.
But
Yeah.
I guess there's night form is about predicting the future, which is also more Moloch-y.
One thing that I don't agree with from an earlier interpretation is the pair of it spies, it lies.
Mm-hmm.
I've always read that to mean that assuming this form somehow grants information to
the
either
fused.
the unmade or the fused.
That seems
Probably
fair.
the unmade, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh.
Because it does say, do we dare wear this form again? It spies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
And so if we are, and especially circling back to Jeanat and the way she was corrupting Spren and how those Spren were acting as essentially messengers or spies for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have this kind of relationship here where you are bonding a corrupted Spren, and whether that Spren is, a regular Spren corrupted by Jeanat, or whether it is a midnight essence, or whether maybe there is more than one way to corrupt a Spren. So maybe what Jeanat does is kind of a 50-50, hey, the Spren is still mostly what it is, but it is now under her control and Odium's control. What if the Midnight Mother can like overwhelm a Spren? So it is like filled with shadow, filled with smoke. It is no longer the original Spren. It is this twisted, not a copy, but a replacement of the original one.
Yeah. I think I think it would be a mistake to assume that Jeanat is the only one who can influence Spren. I think that's kind of her big thing, but I think you're right in that there's probably ways that the other unmade can do weird things to
I
Spren.
was just thinking, like, how would Jeanat influence, like, use other Spren as messengers? And that led me down the train of thought of,
Well, she did it in Oathbringer.
no, I know, I know she did
okay.
that.
Okay.
But how does
how
she do
else?
that? I guess there's
how
some
does it
sort
work?
of connection, but like, would Jeanat feel that connection if such a Spren was bonded with a singer, right?
Because it's kind of trapped, right?
And that leads me, and if it's connection, we know Bada Mishram has connection powers. I'm not deliberately trying to bring up Mishram as much as I can.
No,
but-
I think you are.
No, but what other unmade have connection-related abilities? Like, I mean, I guess Shianat has some connection with her. Spren, Rashafir would have connection with her Midnight Essence. Mishram could influence connections themselves.
Yeah.
And maybe influence some Spren that way. I don't know. This is all very weird. Void Spren are super weird, and we don't know nearly enough about Void Spren.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's many varieties. Thanks, Brandon. That was very helpful.
Yep.
As to what that means.
Here's another interesting thing. Formed from shadow.
Yeah, born from shadow.
One, you can interpret that as Reshafir. Smoke and shadow are not exactly the same thing, but for poetic purposes, you can make that comparison.
Midnight, though. Midnight is shadow. That's very darkness and darkness sort of parallelism.
Sure.
Yeah.
And death is near. Oh no, I don't know why I'm talking about death is near. Formed from shadow. So either that or when Jeanat appears to Shallan in Kolinar, she first appears as a shadow in a mirror with like glowing eyes.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
And it is only later on, when she appears in the chamber, the Oath Gate, like control chamber, then she kind of not solidifies, but assumes this form of a woman in an ancient dress with like glowing eyes. So that's another reference to a shadow.
Getting me really excited for the future. There's so much stuff we don't know.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next song. So this is Song of Wars. We only have one stanza, and this is the 55th stanza. They blame our people for the loss of that land. The city that once covered it did range the eastern strand. The power made known in the tomes of our clan. Our gods were not who shattered these plains.
What? So at this point in time, they had books. They had
tomes.
Tomes, yep.
That's actually really interesting. Maybe the Last Legion just thought they would lose that ability for loss of forms and stuff, I guess.
Well, they might not have been able to take their books with them.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Books are heavy and not
books are heavy.
very durable.
They
are.
They don't handle weather well, usually.
No.
So this is definitely about Kolinar and the wind.
No. I don't. No. Stop it.
The fact that you thought I was serious for a second.
No, I hate you. Shut up. This
is obviously about Shinovar.
Thank you.
It's about Natanaton. You
it's
jerks.
about Cecil Malek's Dar. Obviously.
No, I'm kicking you all from this call.
It's real.
Yes. It's talking about
No,
Rosh
it's from
Exorcism.
Cell. It's from Cell, obviously. Like the chasm, the
loss of the land.
Perfect.
Yeah. Shut up. You guys
figured it out.
Earlier, we don't pad time. Jerks.
We don't pad time intentionally.
Yeah.
No,
so obviously this is actually referring to Natanaton and Stormseat being destroyed.
Yes.
Who do you think they is? They blame our people for the loss of that land? Is that just referring to humans? Yeah.
I'd say
so,
humans.
yeah.
I would say the humans who lived in Natanaton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I
for
think
losing their home.
Everyone else who doesn't know what happened there.
Well, I mean, there were people in the kingdom of Natanaton who were not totally murdered at Stormseat.
Yeah.
From whatever.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
happened
say it's the humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is interesting because if this is written before the Last Legion rebel against the gods, that means the gods still existed, which means Stormseat was definitely destroyed a bit before the last desolation.
Well, so we have two things going on here.
Yeah.
One, there is the power made known in the tomes of our clan. So we have something written down in tomes Then we have the time of composition of the song, which doesn't have to be the same time.
Mhm.
The
And
power?
then we have the destruction of Stormsteed.
I assume the power is talking about the power that shattered the planes.
That actually did, and so they know that
Yes.
their gods did.
They
not
know
shatter
what the
planes.
real one is, yeah. And they know it wasn't their gods. Whatever.
Whoa! That's incredible. Ah!
Yeah.
When are we ever gonna get back into that mystery on the Shattered Plains? We've just left.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. There's so much.
We have to know the
Oh.
answer to that. I will be
Although
upset if we don't.
I would not be terribly surprised if at some point in book 4 or 5 people were like, "Hey, remember that we found out that there is this ancient city under the plains that's like super ancient and can
Mhm.
have all sorts of secrets in there, and so they can like do an expedition and
There could be like epigraphs
revisit
from
that.
Stormseat.
I would not be
explaining
surprised
time
if
jump.
Brandon saves this for a few books so that when we finally go back to the plains, it's a little bit of nostalgia.
Oh, that's
Like
also
even
true.
even in the back half, like, oh, it's been like
Mm.
20, 30 years since we last did stuff on the Shattered Plains, and now
And-
we come back and we find the secrets.
And I
yada,
mean,
yada.
I think we're all in agreement that Dawn Shards shattered the plains. Like that seems like the most natural thing that it could
I
be.
don't know if we are all in agreement, but it's
It's a common
theory.
theory. at
It's a
least.
common theory.
It,
I don't even know what the Dawn
I
Shards
think
are,
it's
so-
kind
Neither
of
do
a,
we.
Neither do we.
Nobody does.
Why is this the most common theory then? The
'Cause
thing we
it-
don't know anything about did the thing.
Because Honor's like, wow, without the Dawn Shards, you guys are extra screwed. And Dawn Shards are weirdly powerful. So presumably they've had them for a while and are very important. And if the gods didn't break the Shattered Plains, could Unmade do this? I don't know. I don't think the Unmade have that much power to like physically do this. And otherwise,
I
it's just a shard, right?
I was just making sure that we weren't taking like, oh, what shattered the Shattered Plains? We don't know. Dawn Shards? We don't know. I
mean,
solved
that's-
it.
Well, okay, there is quite a bit of that, yes.
There's just quite a bit of that. There's also a lot of
2 sticky notes that don't
like-
connect to anything.
Shut up.
Got it.
there's also a lot of the method of elimination where it's
True.
not the human surge binders.
It cannot
it's not
be
the
this.
fuse, it's
Yeah.
yeah. And so like there are only so many things that are known at the moment that could imaginably like conceivably do that.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Dawn Shards is like the
It
most
is,
esoteric one of them all.
yes.
We know it was cymatic in nature.
Yeah.
We do know that.
because They shattered in
Although
patterns. Yeah.
there may be more going on there. Topic for another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
The power made known in the tomes of our clan.
Wasn't the last legion referred to as a singer tribe at some point?
Possibly.
I seem to recall that either the listeners or the singers, well, the Parsh, I suppose, are divided into tribes.
So there's a reference that after the Last Legion broke off, that group of the Last Legion would split up into tribes and refugees.
Okay.
But they were, as the Last Legion, they were warriors who'd been set to fight in the farthest plains, this place that had once been a nation and was now rubble. Natan. So there is mentions of tribes, and definitely in the years past, when we learned about the Parshendi, they were definitely described as tribes as well.
Right.
and
There's
stuff
also
like
that.
that.
Yeah. So the last legion split into tribes.
Yeah, because they were like saying that assassination, that the thing about being seen assassinating was a thing between like listener tribes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, with the white.
Yeah.
So it is interesting then to consider that maybe different clans or different tribes of the last legion might have different songs or different stanzas
maybe.
in different songs.
Kind of depends
Or
how they
maybe-
did split.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw this more as like the Last Legion was a clan
Sure.
that did have records, and that those
Mhm.
they were lost.
I don't know if I agree. Like I think they were a legion, like a military unit.
They
that
could,
was just sent.
just
to
because
fight.
it's not the word battalion or something, they could refer to that as a clan, I guess.
Mhm. And we don't know how like singer like legions are made. Might be that is like each clan is a legion. It's like
There's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, so this song basically just saying the humans thought we destroyed that land, but
Nope.
that's false. Also, we know neener, we're not telling you here. Thanks.
It's another one of Brandon's things, kind of like the secret of the recreants, where we keep getting people being like,
Yeah.
"Well, we definitely know what it is," and
Scene
we're not
break.
saying it. Yeah,
Let me tell
Basically.
you what happened long ago. Scene break, and now I'm bowish and I'm angry. Good thing we got it in this book. We would have been livid.
Yeah.
All right.
Next song,
okay. Yes. Now we are to the Song of Winds.
another one stanza one.
Yes. This is only the fourth stanza. So
Yeah.
Man, we are churning through these songs.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not to Song of Secrets. That's
That's for the next
Storm-
episode.
no, shut up. No.
Stormform is said to cause a tempest of winds and showers. Beware its powers, beware its powers. Though its coming brings the gods their night, it obliges a blood-red Spren. Beware its end, beware its end.
I would say that's a pretty straightforward, prophetic, but
Yeah.
straightforward.
Yeah, I would guess the Song of Winds is a prophecy.
Yes.
Yeah, but this goes back to the classic Shardcast debate. What does old of design mean when it comes to the Everstorm? Because,
Yeah.
like, Stormform could have existed. You just needed a lot of Stormform to summon the Everstorm, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So, like,
and it most likely existed because there are, I think, multiple records of the song of the form in these songs.
Mhm.
no, this is actually the only record of Stormform.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which is just interesting that it's still. I guess they have prophecy powers, so it doesn't need to be that weird.
Yeah. Though I do think it's mentioned elsewhere than we see here, because Eshonai is able to instantly recognize, like, hey, that's a form of power.
True.
When Bentley
It's
says,
true, the red
I
eyes
have
and
discovered
stuff.
Stormform.
Well, yeah. Just
Uh,
because like it's only referenced in one of these epigraphs, we're missing tons of stanzas of all these
Right,
things,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's fine.
You know, the old Rosharan adage that, ever showers bring bad powers. instead
Terrible. Terrible.
Instead of like April showers bring Mayflowers. No, the showers bring powers instead of flowers. Whatever. It was never mind.
But what do Mayflowers bring?
Pilgrims.
May Aladar.
Excellent.
May Aladar.
May bring destiny.
May bring destiny. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that this is prophetic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like it.
All right, Song of Secrets. These are all referring to forms, referring to gods a lot. So I'm saying all these things in the Song of Secrets are 100% forms of power. The things in Song of Listing do not require the odious stuff. That's been my interpretation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's reasonable.
So like Scholar form you could get, Knight form as we probably couldn't get if Odium was not around, right?
Yes.
Or at least Baromishram.
Yeah, right, yeah. Or odious investiture is what I
Yeah.
mean.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at them, shall we?
Yes.
Night form predicting what will be, the form of shadows, mind to foresee. As the gods did leave, the night form whispered, a new storm will come, someday to break. A new storm, a new world to make. A new storm, a new path to take. The night form listens.
Well, that's a prophecy.
17th stanza.
Yeah.
17!
Hey, it's us.
Dun,
Uh,
dun, dun.
We are the night forms.
So this is interesting because as the gods did leave, that could refer to any desolation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But night form,
Yes.
I guess, forms of power could persist between desolations, I guess.
I would say
Maybe?
yes, but no new ones can be assumed.
That
So-
seems very sensible.
Mhm.
If you are
Yeah.
already bonded to a Void Spren, the Void Spren is not gonna get pulled back to Braze at the end of Desolation.
That seems very natural, that night forms would
Yeah.
stay night form unless they assumed a different form
Mhm.
for whatever reason.
And this definitely seems to be the origin of the Vorin fear of foretelling. This is the Voidbringers have future sight and its evil power.
Yeah.
One
I
of
would say
those.
night form
Yeah.
seems to be like the big basis of that.
I mean,
And
That's
it's
the
like-
whole thing.
that's
Odium's forces in
not-
general are very like night forms. The Unmade have various forms of future sight,
Mhm.
so it's like all of these things related.
Hesse doesn't think so.
Mhm.
I mean, Hesse is just pretty confident that
It was Moloch.
future sight of the enemy is
Yeah.
because of the death rattles and Moloch.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But
What's-
does she know about night form?
yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
One of the things that's interesting to me is so the last one, the Song of Winds, which is talking about storm forms,
Yeah.
says its coming brings the gods their night.
Yep.
And the night form is the one that sees the future. I wonder if night and future are connected somehow.
Yeah.
I'm
Does
just
feel
gonna
like it.
throw in the
Yeah.
Night of Sorrows.
Yeah, I
in
was.
there.
Yep, you
Yeah.
got it in before I could. Yep. Brings
Yeah.
the gods their night.
I sensed it.
We haven't seen the Night of Sorrows yet, I guess.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh boy.
Have
But
we- have
yeah,
someone-
it's
Ah,
because like for a form that predicts and sees the future, being called night form doesn't necessarily seem to match up.
It is
if
interesting.
you don't. Yeah.
It does sort of evoke this idea that the sun's too blinding and evokes this idea of the answers are like in the stars or some crap like that. You know?
Possibly. Yeah.
I don't think that's relevant here, but it just kind
Yeah.
of evokes that for me.
Mhm.
Seems like a stretch.
I like the idea of like night is like connected to the future symbolically in Parsh
Mhm.
culture.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Could be.
I could go with that, especially if there's something like if the Night of Sorrows is this cultural kind of mythological event sometime
Mhm.
in the future, like the apocalypse, let's say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then
it would make
the
sense.
end of days, right? Then you might have
Mhm.
like in our culture, you might have something like an end form or something like that.
And also just shadows, with odium stuff is kind of
Yeah.
evokes the future. But
That's true. Yeah.
shadows evoke nighttime,
They do.
And so this is really interesting that they were foretelling of the Everstorm long before.
A new storm, a new path to take, right? Because the Everstorm goes the other way. It's a new path.
Yeah, that is true. It's not just a
Oh,
path
boy.
of the fused coming back. But
Also,
I
possibly
just
a new
noticed
path
that,
to
and like,
power as well.
say that again, Alex.
A new path to power as well, possibly. Can't they transform in the Everstorm
mhm,
instead of
yep.
transforming in the High Storm?
Yep.
So it's also like a
Sure.
new way to get.
Mhm. And it's a
to-
new path like in the future,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
because without that certain things would not be possible.
a different
Yeah.
desolation. Also,
Yeah.
a new storm, a new path to take. The night form listens. That last
Yes.
phrase is interesting in
Mhm.
association.
and we
with
also
that.
have the night form whispered a little early.
Yeah,
earlier.
as the gods
Mhm.
did leave, the night form whispered, and then it's like saying what the night form whispered with a new storm will come and someday to break,
Yeah,
a new storm, a new world
Huh.
to make. So that feels like that's what the night forms are whispering.
I would say so. Yeah, the grammar is a
Mhm.
little weird around that, which threw me off initially, but
Yeah.
I think that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are the night form listening for that potential future, I guess?
Mhm.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
the night forms like that might be how they tell the future, like through sound.
Listening
like-
to some sort of vibrations.
Yeah, it's like
As opposed to
Because they're
Renarin's more
the
visual.
singers and the
More
listeners.
visual,
That's
yeah.
very auditory.
Yeah.
It's
And, like-
possible there's something to do with the rhythms, like perhaps the night form interacts with the rhythms in a way that
The rhythm of night.
is yeah.
Yeah, I
Not
mean, these are
normal. They can
spiritually
hear things
relevant.
in the rhythms, perhaps.
Yeah.
As
Or perhaps
opposed
hear
to
things in the rhythms that haven't happened yet. Maybe they
Yeah.
can
Mhm.
hear ahead in the rhythms.
Yeah.
Everything's
as
gonna
opposed
happen
to
in
like
the spirit.
Renarin, who like it's very like sight
Yeah.
Right.
with
Yeah.
the stained
Yeah.
glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something did speak to Venli to the rhythms to guide her to Zeth, or not to Venli, but
I thought that was Ulam.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's his
Yeah,
face?
hmm
Yeah.
So on to the 27th stanza.
This first line.
Which
Holy
is-
crap.
About decay form, and it says decay form destroys the souls of dreams,
Of course
a
it does.
form of gods to avoid it seems, seek not its touch nor beckon its screams, deny it. Watch where you walk, your toes to tread, or hill or rocky riverbed, hold dear to fears that fill your head, defy it.
What a form.
like
Holy crap.
Nightmare
Yeah.
fuel.
Yeah.
That's a spooky form.
When you
It's
just
a-
open with, oh yeah, you know, what does decay form do? Oh, it destroys the souls of dreams. Oh, okay. That's lovely. Lovely. Great. I'm gonna sip my tea now. Great. That's not terrifying.
That the way you
Um,
defy it is by holding on to your fear.
Yep,
That's intriguing as well.
that is.
That fear is protective against decay form. That's a way to read that.
It is certainly how I've always read it.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable interpretation.
You could, I mean,
Um,
you could say like, "Oh, you need to stay afraid of it. It's really bad. Don't get involved." But I don't think that's what it's saying here.
Here's a thought. When Eshonai was out in the high storm
Mhm.
and she was carrying the gem with the storm spren,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Eshonai was not entirely in control of this transformation.
hmm
I disagree.
She was okay with it in the beginning,
Mhm.
but for what felt like most of the time, she did not want this thing to happen.
My perception was by the time she realized like she had passed the point of no return.
Yeah.
She had reached the point in the storm where the transformation starts. And it's like at that point it doesn't matter that she didn't want it to actually happen anymore. It's like
Mhm.
the process had begun and it had to be completed.
This-
Sure, I hear you.
There's also a lot of references to like the part deep within Eshonai screaming, which is interesting given the fact that this is
Mhm.
talking about nor beckon its screams for decay form.
Well, that's probably just a coincidence of
Ah,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
screaming thing.
I 100% think that's a coincidence.
I agree.
Lots of
Um,
things
yeah.
scream.
That's
but I
true.
do wonder if like the fused can almost force regal forms onto singers, and one way
Mm.
to avoid that is to have a certain mindset. So the same way you need a mindset to attract a spren to assume a common form, you can unattract a void spren and reject a form of power.
Also known as repel.
Look, you and your fancy language.
Dookie.
I am very interested in the fourth and fifth lines
Huh?
about watching where you walk and talking
God, that's
about
weird.
riverbeds. What does that have to do with avoiding decay, Spren?
It almost feels. Yeah. What? What is up with that? It's like
What's
watch where you
happening
walk,
there?
your toes to tread, or hill or rocky riverbed.
Like, are you just
Like,
gonna
almost
like
you could
step
stumble,
on?
Yeah, you're gonna stumble onto one as you're walking on the road. Something like that.
It almost feels like there were. It just reminds me of like the land itself collapsing around you, and you should watch your step or something. I don't know.
See, this could be like very, very, very poetic.
I
and it's just
would
like,
expect it is.
like
Yeah.
be careful like what paths you choose in life that don't
Okay.
The specific
Encounter.
lead mentioning hill or rocky riverbed seems like it's not paths in life. This is like literally where you are stepping.
Yeah.
That could
feels
also
like a
be
warning-
because it sounds cool in the song.
Yeah, but like none of the
Maybe?
others do anything like that. Like
Yeah.
one way I can explain that is like you are in danger of this form wherever you are. Like I can kind of see
Maybe,
that, but it's still
possibly.
weird.
This feels like a warning that would make sense on like Threnody. It reminds me a little bit of like beware of the shades and like watch where you step and be careful what you do when you're out in their land. That's the kind of vibe that you almost get from it. Of like watch your thoughts and watch where you're walking and all sorts of weird things.
Let me take us back to the beginning of this
Yeah.
stanza because it's weird.
Mhm.
It is weird.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave the souls of dreams for a moment.
Oh,
A form of gods,
yes.
Mhm.
not the gods of gods,
Mhm.
Yeah.
to avoid. It seems.
Electra's just like, yeah, it destroys the souls of dreams.
Maybe we should avoid
Maybe we should avoid it. That doesn't sound nice.
Probably
It
bad.
seems like I don't remember, but it's probably pretty bad. Like, really? Yeah, you think?
Gosh.
I don't know if the gods or of gods necessarily matters very much. Like, crafted of gods, like what we were talking about earlier, seems more significant than this.
Yeah.
This probably just seems like a grammar thing that's just like the
Mhm.
form of the gods. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess you could say a form
Destroying
of
the
the gods,
souls
but
of
it wouldn't have the same
dreams.
cadence. So,
Don't-
Yeah.
All of those have a terrible cadence, except for like one in the beginning.
yeah.
Yeah.
What does
Um,
destroying the
What
souls of
souls
dreams
of
mean?
dreams?
What does that mean? What could that
I-
mean?
I almost want to connect this to things in the cognitive realm. It's like the cognitive aspects
I
of
know, it
things.
seems like the initial.
oh,
thought.
didn't we have an unmade that had like a similar thing?
Just thinking about the cognitive realm in Shadesmar and the watching where you walk. I don't know why it's like you gotta be careful in Shadesmar. That doesn't make any sense. Like, watch where you're walking, or else you'll just slip into Shadesmar or some crap. I don't know. That
So
doesn't
it's
make
very,
sense.
It's a very confusing.
It's very weird.
So yeah, the souls of dreams. I feel like do dreams have like a cognitive aspect? Are dreams enough of a thing?
I mean,
that
destroying
they
the
could-
souls of dreams has to be very poetic, because it sounds really cool, but like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That has to have
Yeah.
some sort of concrete thing.
It almost makes me think of whatever the thing was that turned the singers into Parshmen. That kind of like destruction of the psyche almost.
Yeah, but that
But that doesn't even
yeah.
really it seems like something on that level though. Something that like would destroy personhood. Not just destroying your dreams, but
Oh.
destroying the soul, like your ability to have
like
dreams.
wounding your
almost.
spiritual aspect, maybe. in
Yeah.
that sort of sense.
Something like that, maybe.
Anything else on this decay form one? I'm very excited to see decay form. That I can tell you for a fact.
I will say that it has
Pretty significant.
destroyed the soul of my dreams because now they're nightmares.
Yeah.
Oof.
Souls of dreams. Yeah, that's a really interesting turn of phrase.
Dec-
We've
Mhm.
seen references to like beings interacting with other beings' souls.
yeah.
Um,
Some sort of spiritual damage sort of thing.
probably.
Don't worry. This can't
Although-
destroy the soul of my dream because that's by the Mishram. Decay form
Hey,
wouldn't do
my
that.
goodness.
No, there are other forms for that.
I feel like
Make
there's
form.
also, Ian was kind of talking about how there is a lot of times when we see the word soul in the Cosmere, it refers to a cognitive aspect.
Yeah.
So there's that
People in the
too.
Cosmere are not very consistent with that, and I would
Not
say
very
kind of-
precise.
Yeah.
Stormfather, I'm a
So.
splinter. Or I'm a sliver. Like, screw you.
You just use Cosmere terms like that.
If Sazed can beckon out into the entire universe and get a word, you can get the correct Cosmere term. Come on. You can get Adenelsium from the ether. Come on.
You are flying over the entire world. There is a scholar in there hiding among the Ardents. She's putting together a little thing. Just like sync up the terminology, okay?
There's someone in the 17th shard that just like goes up to people and is like, well, actually, the proper term is.
Is that really your soul?
Chris going up to the singers as they're putting together these songs. And it's like, when you say the soul of dreams right here,
what does that mean?
what do you mean?
Are you talking about cognitive self, spiritual
Not
self?
precise enough. Write it again.
What was the author intending here?
Please explain.
The reality, guys, is that in the Dawn Chant, they have separate words for cognitive soul and spiritual soul.
It just got merged to English.
It was lost in translation, really.
Yeah.
Dang it, English.
Yeah. What's new?
English ruins everything.
Let's go to the next form.
All right. 40th stanza. The betrayal of Spren has brought us here. They gave their surges to human heirs, but not to those who know them most dear before us. 'Tis no surprise we turned away. Unto the gods we spent our days, and to become their molding clay, they changed us. So this is why I always think that Odium and these things physically changed the singers. It's this song, of course, because they're like, hey, we became their molding clay. They changed us.
I don't like this song.
By definition, like, any of the forms of power
you're right.
Changing them.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is very similar to one that's in the Song of Spren, which we have not gotten to yet. That also talks about the Spren betrayed us and picked humans over the listeners.
So the next stanza talks about smoke form, which we already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
What if we take a quick diversion into the Song of Spren and talk about these together?
Yeah, that would probably be wise, because they do seem to be the same topic.
Well, one of them talks about a historical, here's what happened. The other one is, here's why the Spren may have done this.
Well, but maybe before we do that. So there's some timeline things.
Yeah.
Here. The Spren gave their surges to human heirs. But by that time, weren't you already, like, under the thumb of the Fused for a while?
Yeah, so, yeah. Let's talk about this.
Unless there were, like, there needed to be multiple groups of singers, obviously. These are not a monolithic culture, right?
Oh, definitely not.
But, so, there could have been, there's the group who are really pissed off at the humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then became the Fused. And then there's other singers who are just really not okay with the Fused and the fighting that's occurring. But then once the Radiance happened, then the other singers were like, well, screw you, Spren. And then that kind of put them in line.
That's when it became a global war, like a total war.
Well,
maybe,
it was still pretty global, but there were, like, holdouts. Like, the other singers weren't like, hey, kill all the humans type thing.
Well, I do wonder if it was, because, like, at the beginning, it may have been a kind of isolated, Shinovar and the Makabakam region are doing their own thing, and, like, the rest of the world is not involved in these desolations.
Maybe. That's possible.
Yeah.
I just had a weird thought.
Yes.
So I've always interpreted this whole topic talking about, like, the first time that Surge Binders started happening, that the Spren started to bond with humans. Except we now know that singers can have Nahel bonds as well, because Vinley is becoming a will shaper. And so they talk about, like, the Spren abandoned us and picked the humans over us, and because the humans were so different and they were so much better,
Well, that's
to them than we were. But
There was.
I
I'm
think
confused.
Venli is the first of her kind.
Yeah.
I think we have multiple words of Brandon that this thing has not
Yep.
happened
Yeah.
before.
There's also an implication in a word of Brandon that suggests that something's different now. And I know in a previous episode, the only thing I thought that could be different is honor preventing a Nihil bond with a singer. Like, honor's not there, so that could happen
which is a bizarre thing for him to do, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
he was their god.
Yeah.
He was. But by the... Because
he was their god
bonding
before
people
Odium.
and granting surge binding came as a surprise to honor originally. Like that Spren started imitating the honor blades.
Yeah.
Yes, that's beginning of Words of Radiance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I'm more responding to Argent, who is making that phase.
Ah, yes.
Sure.
So it's like, by the point that Spren would have started bonding singers, similarly, singers were the enemy.
And the Spren did not choose the singers. Yeah, it's weird.
Real quick, I almost want to read the Song of Spren.
Let's read the Song of Spren.
Let's bring that one in, because
this is now. Yeah.
So it says, this is the 9th stanza. It's the first one that we have. But it says, the Spren betrayed us, it's often felt. Our minds are too close to their realm. That gives us our forms, but more is then demanded by the smartest Spren. We can't provide what the humans lend, though broth are we, their meat is men. And what gets me about this is, does this mean that there's going to be something that Timbre, Venli Spren, fundamentally lacks because she's not bonded to a human? Is there something that her bond cannot provide because it's not with a human?
Yeah, because humans give something to their Spren.
Yeah,
give understanding.
This might be the most intelligent that Timbre becomes, that she can't become a fully fledged Spren in the way the other Radiant Spren are, because the humans provide something that the Parshendi don't.
Well,
this is something I did not put together before, and it's like, oh, this could have big implications or something.
That Timbre won't be able to develop. She won't be able to develop the same. There will be something fundamentally different.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that she doesn't talk to us, like other Nihil. It's their bond works through the rhythms.
Yeah,
because Venli's a singer. So that makes sense to me. But
so they still can't provide what humans lend, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't bond clearly
at all.
Yeah,
maybe Venli can only reach the third ideal or whatever.
So
new theory: Timbre is vegetarian and therefore does not
doesn't care
broth,
for the meat of
human
men.
bond.
Oh, they don't like meat.
The lesser bond
of men. Yeah. The third and fourth line of this song of this 9th stanza here, that gives us our forms, but more is then demanded by the smartest Spren. So that seems to refer to the oaths almost. I don't know, that feels like that.
I think it's saying that the singers, the listeners, whatever, are too cognitive. They're too similar to the Spren, that the Spren needs someone. The humans are different. Less cognitive, and therefore they can pull the Spren out more.
Yep. I would say more physical than less cognitive.
More physical. Don't have that connection to Shadesmart innately that the listeners do.
Also, Spren learn from being bonded. It's the Stormfather mentions that he didn't understand the Herald's betrayal until he bonded Dalinar. So that might be what's going. The Spren can't learn from the bond in the same way.
Oh no, that's definitely a factor.
No, that's totally what it is.
No, and all the Spren that we've seen become more intelligent and more aware as the strength of their bond progresses, and as they are pulled more into the physical realm.
I guess I'm just wondering what demanded by the smartest Spren means, because that could just mean that, it demands something more physical, which it does seem to be that implication, but still has high demands of the person she's bonding with, and that's what that reminds me of.
Oh, that's where you're going with that.
I think it's something that it probably has something to do with like almost where the mind is situated, almost like where, because they talk about the minds are too close to the Spren's realm.
Yeah.
It's almost like when and we know that greater Spren are intelligent and have personhoods when they're in Shadesmar.
Mm-hmm.
But when they bond to a Parshendi, it's almost like they've been pulled through to the physical realm and they need something in the physical realm to get the intelligence from. But the Parshendi are still in Shadesmar, which they just left. There's not enough. Something like that almost, that the minds of Parshendi are not physical enough. They're cognitive in ways that human minds are not, I guess.
That is valid.
Yeah.
There is also the thing where the Nahel bond is, to an extent, the merging of the soul of the spirit webs, or of the souls of the Surge Binder or the physical entity and the Spren. And so if your spirit web is inherently, like, quote unquote, closer to the cognitive realm or more in the cognitive realm, then merging the Spren's spirit web with yours is going to end up resulting with less of the Spren's spirit web in the physical than it would if you were, farther out into the physical, which is a very, like, physical way of describing this.
Yeah.
But it's also very sensible, I think.
Very interesting. I had not put that together, that, oh, wait, yeah, we have a, listener Surge Binder now.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Let's read the last stanza of the Song of Spren. But it is not impossible to blend their surges to ours in the end. It has been promised, and it can come. Or do we understand the sum? We questioned not if they can have us then, but if we dare to have them again.
So I think this is talking about Singer Surge Binders.
Yes, it absolutely.
Yes.
Who was it promised by? Is it promised by honor or something?
Worth noting, this is the very next stanza.
Yeah, it is.
These are the only consecutive stanzas.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it is obvious that it's talking about
absolutely
Singer Surge Binders.
I'm just like, it has been promised. Did, like, the shards promise that could occur, but then, like...
Did a night form predict that it was going to happen?
Yeah, it's like,
maybe someone foresaw that.
Maybe that's possible too. I don't know. A promise, that feels honorary, but maybe something happened that maybe the Spren, like, feared the singers, given what happened or something. I don't know. This feels important.
Yeah.
This betrayal of the Spren in this way.
It also talks about blending their surges not to us, but to ours, as in, like, blending their surges to our surges.
Whoa.
Which I have been on the train that, like, void binding is similar to surge binding, and they probably both have surges, and this would kind of possibly be in line with that.
They're not the same.
Worth bringing up that surges is kind of just what they use as, like,
force,
power or force.
Yeah.
Right.
So if the singer powers are the voids or whatever, then we might be looking at Venli being very similar to Renarin in terms of her power set.
Yeah, kind of straddling between
kind of one of each,
two different systems. Yeah, it's all very intriguing. So, but yeah, I would say these two stanzas definitely have a lot to do with Venli and what's going to happen to Venli in the future as she progresses in her bonds.
Get hyped for book 4 because we're going to get some deep lore about the singers. It's going to be great.
And keep the hype for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's this line about, or do we understand the sum?
Yeah, I'm actively ignoring that line.
I think that might
Is that-
mean
The sum being like their surges plus ours?
or just the sum of a singer plus a Radiance Spren.
This
Yeah,
feels like a very Brandon sort of magic system line in terms of he always talks about when you mix magic systems, you get more than just the two magic systems. This almost feels like, oh, there could be more things than just you get both powers or whatever. And do we understand that? Do we know what's going to happen in addition when we start mixing, if the Spren come back to us and mix with our powers, sort of thing?
Is it going to be something we want?
Yeah.
We questioned not if they, the Spren, can have us then, but if we dare to have them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a betrayal,
they were presumably they were promised to have those bonds, and like the Spren chose humans instead, I guess.
And do we dare let them in our lives again, essentially? Do we dare accept the Spren? It is interesting that this stanza in particular seems to refer a lot to the smartest Spren, the true Spren.
Yeah.
Because they're the surge givers.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Well, not all of them, no.
There could literally be like ancient singer and Spren politicking involved in what was going on here.
Yeah.
It's possible that it was harder to change forms because all of the Spren were bonding with humans or something like that. And
there's a lot of base forms.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what if they used to bond with true Spren all the time, and then all of a sudden the true Spren, nobody wanted to bond with a Parshendi. They all wanted to go get a human to bond with or something like that. Then you had to settle for the lesser Spren or something like that.
Yeah, it's always been interesting to find out whether there have been forms of power inherent to the Nahel Spren, essentially. And the betrayal mentioned in several stanza is those Spren abandoning the singer, or the Dawn Singers, I should say, and cheating on them with the humans.
Timbre doesn't give Venli a form. It's like she's still envoy form.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so
it's
she
does something in the gem heart, doesn't she? She
traps
silences she traps the envoy Spren, whichever one it is.
But they're bonded in the same way that a surge binder is bonded to their Spren. This is not like this is not a form. This is not a reacher form or a light form.
Yeah. So you're saying, what if those Spren originally did
Perhaps
give forms?
It could be, yeah. Perhaps it would do something different if you.
Here's kind of what I think. I don't necessarily think the betrayal is because of that. I think the betrayal is because the surges were promised to them, and then they decided against it. Like, this feels like a very... What's another key betrayal in Stormlight Archive that you can think of? The Recreants. And what was the betrayal there? Not going with your promise.
Yeah.
Right? And it was promised that they would get the surges.
You know,
I don't know.
Way, all betrayals are that. Whether it's an implicit or explicit promise.
What is a betrayal?
Let's talk about the social contract between people.
This is an intriguing fact that to the listeners, the first betrayal was committed by the Spren. And then the second betrayal is a betrayal of the Spren. And we know it had to do with, the humans finding out that they were the Voidbringers and all of that. But I wonder if part of it was also like that the Spren had betrayed the listeners and therefore deserved to be betrayed themselves. That it could have in some way been a punishment
Oh, you think that was also
for
a
the
factor?
Spren, possibly. I don't know that the humans would care that much about, justice for the listeners, but it could
Yeah.
be. I
It
don't
could be
know.
one of those things where here are the 17 things that were discovered at the same time, and they all led to
Yeah.
the recreants collectively.
They could all be tied together in the same kind of events or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know.
God,
Interesting.
spicy. Do we have any more about these Surge ones? Surge and
I
Spren
don't think
ones?
so.
Surge and Spren!
You said these were the last ones in the part?
Yeah, so the Song of
Mhm.
Spren ones are the last two, and then we get the very last one in the part, which is the last part of the Song of Secrets. Let's go do that one.
Okay, so
Mhm.
this is again the final stanza of the Song of Secrets.
Mhm.
Our gods were born, splinters of a soul, of one who seeks to take control, destroys all lands that he beholds with spite. They are his friend, his gift, his price. But the night forms speak of future life. A challenged champion, a strife even he must requite.
God, foreshadow that dual battle of champions. in
More
every
like
book.
Yup.
foreshadow form.
Yeah.
That's why
So
it's
the-
night, because it's foreshadowing. And it's
Forenighting.
shadowing in the future. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Like foreseeing. Yeah.
That's what it means.
So I definitely think
Attractive.
the night forms, while they're a form of power, they're not wholly odiums. Because like this is night forms like, hey, like there's a point in the future where we could be free of this guy.
Well, I mean, you can see
Ooh.
lots of possible futures. I mean, I don't think just because you have a form of power and you had the favor of the fused to be given a form of power didn't mean that you couldn't do lots of things that the fused wouldn't know, because they're not everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, odium's very powerful, but
Here's a crazy thought.
Mhm.
I don't wholly believe in that. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
okay.
What if the night form is not a Vodium?
I think I know where you're going with this.
I mean,
Where you
I
going?
went there. Cultivation.
The Night Watcher?
Oh. Whoa!
Ooh.
Whoa!
Oh.
I just went back to the stanza from the Song of Secrets about the night song, the night form.
Uh-huh.
Night Song is actually Light Song's brother. I don't know if you know this.
They're fraternal twins.
Yeah.
It's actually the name of a track in the World of Warcraft soundtrack. It's really good.
Makes sense.
Actually, that's my Nightblood and Lightsong ship name. Don't at me.
Anyway, nothing in the night form stanza mentions.
that it's of the gods.
Yes. What is even more interesting, perhaps, is that as the gods did leave, the night form whispered.
And we were thinking, oh, I guess forms of power, you just persist after desolations. But if it's not,
What if it's a new thing?
Yeah. Cultivation just
Odium's juice is out of the system,
has
and-
little vines in both magic systems.
and cultivation is stepping in and going, let me tell you about it.
I like that a lot, actually.
There is a series of 3 Words of Brandon from probably like Words of Radiance era,
Mhm.
where it's like, are the listeners of honor?
yes.
No. Are they of odium?
Mhm.
Not originally. Are they of cultivation? Not originally. So it's very possible that there could be forms of power that are cultivation derived rather
That
than
sounds
odium derived.
That sounds
Yeah.
incredible to think about a whole nother set of forms of power that are cultivation-y based. Oh, that sounds sweet.
And
I mean, it happens with the surge binders. Like, cultivation Spren are making surge binders, so
Mhm.
not out of the question.
and seeing the future, that's a very cultivation-y thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cultivation's influence. We're gonna have a series of 5 podcasts when we get a mind-blowing reveal, and we'll just
Oh,
be like,
God.
here's all the cultivation-y things that you didn't quite see were cultivation, but now in retrospect you feel like an idiot, don't you? That's
She's
Cult-
been
cultivation
cultivating
secret
them
history.
all along,
And
slowly over time.
also, in the stands about night form, at no point does it say to be afraid of it or to avoid it or anything.
That's true.
That's true, which is intriguing because it's the one the Vorens would have the most problems with.
Is this unique in the Song of Secrets? Decay form,
Decay
obviously
form,
they don't like it.
avoid it, it seems. Smoke form. Actually, there's
Maybe.
not actually that many things in the Song of Secrets because there's
Yeah.
smoke form, decay form, night form, storm
And-
form. They say beware its end, beware its end, but
Yeah.
that's not
Beware
that
its
many.
powers.
Yeah,
Storm form, we fear.
yeah.
Yeah, so night form is the one they don't.
Night form not necessarily bad. So what else about this last one about the Challenge of Champions? I mean, the first part of this stanza seems of one who seeks to take control. Odium. Wow, very exciting. Destroys all lands he beholds with spite. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what this reminds me of?
What?
It's completely unrelated, probably.
Okay, great.
But back to that death rattle about where we talked about was the death rattle about the rich man? Yeah. So the one where they break the land itself. They want it, but in their rage they will destroy it. Like the jealous man burns his rich things
Yeah.
rather than let them be taken by his enemies.
Seems very spiteful. It does
Yeah.
feel like a very odium-y thing.
Odium's really spite. That's his intent.
Yeah, oh, that's and they're his Spren, his gift, his price. Yeah, kinda is. Because that's a big odium investiture cost. And then we have the Challenge of Champions. I don't know if there's a lot else here.
No, I think we know a lot of what that's referring to.
Yeah. This one's
Especially
like,
as of Oathbringer. That one has been made much clearer.
I feel like we've known like what this is about.
Mhm.
Because the Challenge of Champions was brought at the end of the Way of Kings.
yeah, right, exactly.
So this is not a shocker.
Mhm.
Yep.
Cool.
Did we do it?
We did it.
Did we succeed?
Hey,
are
this
we
didn't
under-
take forever.
Are we under 2
Yay.
hours?
We are under 2 hours in our
That's
recording.
crazy.
Yeah, it's 1:33 on our recording.
Wow, that's a tiny episode.
It honestly kind of is, because sometimes when we get to like 50, it's like, oh, we gotta do who's that cosmic character. This is rough. Gonna try and get these
Oh,
to be
man.
slightly shorter episodes, so then maybe Alyx will listen to them.
She doesn't have to listen to them.
She just have to attend the show.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
That would involve knowing more things about the Cosmere, though. I can't
Yeah.
handle it.
Look,
I only care
we learned
about like
a lot
3
about
things.
we learned a lot about the Cosmere today,
And about grammar and about English.
and Night Song.
Also fun. See, I
And-
was here for the poetry aspect. That's
We-
really
Yeah,
what
learned-
I
honestly,
needed, to be honest
yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
pretty much. All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed this. So, you know what time it is? It's
Actually,
time-
before it's that
Oh,
time,
okay.
I wanna plug a YouTube content creator by the name of the Dark-Eyed Musician.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She did a rendition of the Song of Secrets a couple of years back. And so if you just go to YouTube and search the Dark-Eyed Musician and go through her uploads, you can find all of the stanzas of the Song of Secrets.
To music. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yep, no, she plays, she sings. It's pretty good. And
She's
she also has
done
other
it-
Cosmere
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, done a bunch of Cosmere things.
But this one is particularly relevant.
Very cool. So we're at the end of the show. So you know what time it is? It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace.
Tien.
Tom.
Braze.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw. All right, guys, you know the game. You send an email to wtcc@17shard.com and with 5 clues and a character, and we will read them out eventually to our cast, and we will guess who's that Cosmere character. All right. Character number 1 comes from John Weissensale. Name's
I
hard.
recognize that name.
Maybe it's German,
Yeah.
and it's like
sounds like it.
Weissen.
Yeah.
Weisenseil.
Clue 1. This character is introduced in Words of Radiance.
Well, that
Okay.
actually kind of narrows it down.
There aren't that many characters in Words of Radiance.
Yaddle.
No.
Braze.
No.
I had to say it.
You did. You're legally obligated by law.
I'm completely.
By
if it was-
Skybreaker law.
If it could have been Renarin, it always has to be Renarin first, and if not Renarin, then it's got to be Brace. So
I forgot his name.
it's definitely that one then.
The one that you usually forget.
No. It's a different one that I usually.
That's not helpful.
Harklane.
No, not Harkalane. Also
Also
Harkalane
not
was-
introduced in Words of Radiance.
Technically, if he's referred to, was he introduced?
I would say so. That's why I said so.
Well, he
And
was
I'd say
introduced in Wave
introduced
2 and
means-
not Words of Radiance then.
I would
so-
say introduce means you get a name for this character.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
well, it's
alright,
not
fine,
him.
Fine, whatever.
Because that doesn't work.
Also, we don't see him at all in.
Yeah, that's what I was
Shut up.
reading. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. Clue 2. This character has magical abilities.
Great.
I know, it's
would
very
like
helpful.
to guess my other boyfriend, Nail.
No.
Dang it.
Also not introduced in Words of Radiance.
What?
I
Yes, he
mean-
was.
Prologue.
He is referenced in
He's
the-
not introduced.
What
Introduced
define
means-
it? So,
Yes.
what does introduced mean? God.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I would say
well-
they actually show up on page and you learn who they are. That's
well,
an introduction.
we'll have a good talk
Whatever.
about the end of this about what introduced means.
Anyway, okay, we'll figure it out.
We'll have a good talk.
I don't even know what happened in Words of Radiance. It's like all of Stormlight is like a blur to me.
Sure. I mean, that's fair.
Wendell.
No. Does Wendell himself have magical abilities, or does he grant
I
magical
mean-
abilities?
He grows some real good chairs.
Yeah.
Is that a magical ability? Is manifesting souls
They're
a magical
magically
ability?
good.
They're magically good.
I like how we're just like pedanticing up every single clue. Like we're on clue
Isn't that
2.
just what Shardcast is about? Though?
Absolutely. We'll
Fair.
pedantic your name, every clue. Send your clues to WTCC at 17shard.com.
Okay, let's see what happens in Words of Radiance. So
Eerie,
Kaladin and Dalinar came back from the tower in
We'll-
the. At
We'll
the end of
just
the
we'll
wave.
just break this for 20 minutes as Argent tries to recap all of Words of Radiance.
Okay, chapter 5 now.
Let me just take a quick scan through Words of Radiance / summary on the Coppermind real quick. See if there's any keywords that have magical abilities on people who are introduced.
Okay, I'm gonna take my headphones off for a second so I can think.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
getting serious now.
Do you have a guess?
Okay.
I know who it is, but I can't remember their name.
From that, someone who was introduced and has magic powers, you've got it nailed down.
Yes, I do.
It is not that many.
I
And it is
don't-
someone
I don't
should
doubt
absolutely
you,
remember
but
their
I'm
name.
surprised.
I will say I'm
I
just
remember
gonna
his name.
go with Shalash.
No.
Okay. Can I do
We
the
already-
same
we already
thing I
did
did last
Shalash.
episode?
Yeah. This is
Okay,
acceptable,
yeah.
Ian. Yeah.
Okay. Is it Malishi?
No. It is not.
Oh.
Boom.
Right.
Clue 3.
We're
This
still in it.
character is Cosmere aware, and Ian doesn't
That's
get to
fantastic.
guess.
Okay. I mean, Hoyd technically introduces himself to everybody, but no, that's not my guess.
Hello, Adrenalsium, Balderdash.
That was Way of Kings.
That was Way of Kings, yes.
I think you guys are learning a new type of clue that's like, if this character is introduced in this book, it's like, what happened in that book? I don't even remember.
Yeah. It's like I thought it was so clever because it was introduced
I-
in the in-world Words of Radiance.
I do think that guess is
Oh,
primo.
that is That's pretty good.
That's pretty
I may have been thinking of Militia when I said Harkelain.
Yeah,
Oh.
Harkelain was just like a dude in the Starfall's vision. But like, or
mean,
referred to in the
possibly-
Starfall's vision.
Possibly a
man.
bondsmith. Also, was he
No.
referred to in the the Way of Kings version?
Yeah. He's
Yes.
referred to in Way of Kings and Oathbringer version.
Okay.
Grace finds it very suspicious. And meanwhile, listeners are like, who the crap's Harkelain? Well, we haven't
No,
seen
I
him
mean,
on
I-
screen, so we don't know.
I also find him very suspicious. But I thought he was like in the epigraphs of Words of Radiance and the
I
Old
don't
Movie.
have.
Did
a
you guess,
good
Argent?
guess.
Nope.
I haven't guessed either.
I know you haven't guessed. Because you're
Toyd doesn't count.
So I don't know if this character
Uh.
is introduced in Words of Radiance,
Okay.
but it's possible. But it's possible.
Theoretically possible.
So I'm gonna go with Ivory.
Oh
Just-
goodness. I cannot think of anyone. You know, for the sake of time, I'll just say Hoyd. It's not Hoyd.
It's not
But
right.
whatever. Have
Clue
a guess.
4. This character is functionally immortal.
Every freaking person on Roshar is functionally immortal in some way, aren't they?
In this spiritual realm, everyone's functionally immortal.
Is it the Stormfather?
It is not the Stormfather.
Okay.
What?
I don't know. He has
Is
magical
it-
abilities.
Is it Frost?
It is Frost.
I hate it.
I knew when we were talking about introduced that we would have a conversation about and be angry about this.
I disagree. It should be Malishi. Like,
Clue 5 is this character is not human.
You actually don't know whether Militia was functionally immortal or Cosmere aware.
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't care about
So
those.
it is
I care about the
Frost.
first two.
Frost was, of course, the
Dang.
letter writer in the Words of Radiance letter.
Man, you knew as soon as I said introduce means we got a name, because we did not actually give Frost's name.
No, we didn't.
In
that is the
letter.
funny thing. We didn't.
You were like,
yeah.
oh.
So like that introduced. There's wiggle room.
I mean,
I'm
I
a
got
little
it. I
upset
got
as
it right, but I hate it.
well. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a bit upset as well.
Maybe first speaks in Words of Radiance.
But he doesn't speak. He's writing it
He's
down
not a
on some sort of paper or thing that
first
can be
has
transmitted
lines
somehow.
in Words of Radiance.
Well, yeah. So the postal
like that.
service, the Cosmere Postal Service, apparently, I think the latest verdict is that there are like actual literal letters, and world hoppers, as they move around, they just like pick them up from the Shadesmar post office or whatever, and
They
take them
go
to
through
the next
Nalthian
world.
customs.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love it.
All right,
I hate
guys.
everything about this.
This next one
Whew.
is sent in by someone all of us know, and that is
Oh,
Mestiv.
Oh wow!
really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
listeners, if you don't know, Mestiv did all the hard work coding Arcanum, and
Yes.
is a treasure.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
All right,
We're looking to sell them.
no, and this is a good first clue, because clue 1 is this character pays taxes.
So
If
Kelsier's
you're
out.
quiet enough, you can hear the police
Yeah.
coming
Those
after
were-
Mestiv for this clue.
Pays taxes.
Mr. Suit.
No.
Roael
No.
from. Okay.
Oh man, there's so
Yes.
many Aurelish nobility that you could say for paying taxes. You could say all of the great houses, they pay keep taxes.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say Strathfincher.
No, it's not
So
Strathfincher.
that's my guess.
Clue 2, this character has killed a lot of people. Also very helpful.
Which is surprising for somebody who pays taxes, because usually, like, if you're gonna murder a
I
whole
feel
bunch
like,
of people,
tax
you
evasion is the lesser crime.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, you just pay your
Very
taxes so they
murder.
don't audit you into figuring out all the murders. It makes sense.
Yeah.
The more you know, Star.
Silence Montaigne.
It is Silence Montaigne.
Nice.
Sure.
That's
Clue
good.
3 is This character knows what a tree looks like.
Okay.
Clue 4. This character used metal to heal. I don't actually remember what that's referring to in silence.
Cauterize.
It's
or no, silver.
The silver
dust down William Ann's throat, kind of like to
on
save
the
her.
wand.
Oh, interesting. And clue 5 is this character knows what gunpowder is.
Yeah.
Pays taxes,
gonna-
killed a lot, silence.
I mean,
I'm gonna need like 7 more clues before I get that.
You're welcome, Mestiv, for that.
This character's
Yes.
name appears
quite
in
like
a
that.
Ketek.
Of course you do, because you won.
I mean,
Oh man.
All right, guys. Follow us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever hope for. Join us on Discord down below. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, SoundCloud. I think I said that already. Whatever.
You did.
Shut up.
You did.
Do it again. Register a second account and
Yeah.
also follow
That's
us.
fine.
Say
Press
them all
like
one more
again.
time. You know.
Register a bunch of extra YouTube accounts and press subscribe on each of them.
And also watch.
and have them playing in the background to increase our watch time stats. Yeah. Also, you can leave us a review on iTunes and you can support us on Patreon down below. We would love that. And we will see you all next time.
bye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Caw.